Hello. In this video, I will show one of the options for arranging a wooden floor on a concrete base of an interfloor slab. In this situation, the floor repair will be carried out in a 12-meter room of a panel house. The floor itself was originally a panel parquet laid on wooden logs. For 50 years, the floor worn out in places and began to creak very strongly. The task was to preserve the old logs and minimize costs when arranging a new floor. Immediately, I will try to answer the questions that the viewer may have already had. In a specific situation, the option of arranging a cement screed was not considered due to the unwillingness to subject the thin floor slab to additional load and the duration of the surface drying. Also, a rather fashionable and currently promoted option was rejected using the base filling with expanded clay and further laying gypsum fiber sheets over it. When asked why, I'll say this: personally, this technology does not inspire confidence at all for me. Although there are a lot of rave reviews about this technology on the network, but you can also find negative ones. Who are interested in which ones, we can discuss it in the comments. The same version of the new floor was chosen, that is, the installation of a joist on a concrete slab, followed by laying tongue and groove chipboards 22 mm thick on top of them, after which the finishing floor covering will be laid. Well, now let's move on to the process itself. Dismantling of the old coating, preparation of the base. The first step is to dismantle the old panel parquet. When removing boards, I try to save the old boards, as they will be used again in the future. All debris is removed, the concrete slab is cleaned of dust, and covered with a strengthening primer. The role of the so-called supports here was performed by boards 120 mm wide and 35 mm thick. The joists were laid in one level on linings made of noise-absorbing material. For the stability of the new floor, it was decided to lay the boards in increments of about 40 centimeters, so I add the required number of new ones to the old and strong ones. The required height of raising the boards above the level of the concrete floor, in different places, was from 35 mm to 50 mm. Since the floor itself is a concrete slab with clumsy concrete flows and a slight slope to one side, it was decided to expose and lay the logs not on linings as before, but on a solution of tile adhesive. To do this, initially, on the boards, I marked the points of contact between the board and the glue. For each 3-meter board, I decided to make 5 support points, where the length of each support point made of tile adhesive will be approximately 40 centimeters. Further, in order for the tree not to absorb moisture from the solution, I wrap the boards with ordinary adhesive tape at the point of contact with the tile adhesive. I mark the place of installation of the boards on the wall. I take into account the length of the future chipboards, so that their joining along the short side must be located on the support. Further, having installed all the boards in their places, for the convenience of positioning them in height and in one plane, I screw in 2 long self-tapping screws from each edge and in the middle. Having installed a laser level, and guided by it, with the help of self-tapping screws I set the logs to the height I need. Next, I prepare a thick solution of fiberglass reinforced tile adhesive. Throwing the board aside, in the places where the glue is laid, I apply glue to the floor, trying to lay the required amount of glue in height and even a little more. Having created all 5 pillows of glue, I lay the board on them. After that, with the help of a laser level and self-tapping screws, I make the final height adjustment of the board. It will not be superfluous to check the boards with the help of a level. If a board has an unevenness or a propeller shape, it is better to replace it. In extreme cases, saw it into several parts. With the rest of the boards, I perform such manipulations. After the glue hardens, I unscrew all the screws and remove the upper part of the adhesive tape. I check again that all the lags are set to the same level. Further, on all the boards, using a construction stapler, I fasten the soundproofing tape. Now you can lay chipboard plates. The plate has a tenon groove connection around the perimeter. In this situation I use a 22 mm thick plate. I connect the plates to each other, carefully smearing the joints with PVA glue. The slab is laid along the wall with a gap of about 5 mm. The gap will allow the slab to expand freely, as well as eliminate the transfer of noise load to the walls. Along the wall, with the help of self-tapping screws, I fix the slab. I produce the flooring of all slabs, not forgetting about the connection of the slabs along the short edge only on the board. Also, when laying the slab, it is necessary to take into account the sides of the slab. The correct connection of the slabs is the option when the front joint is made without a gap, and the internal one with a so-called compensation gap. True, apparently due to the unstable geometry of the slabs, when they are connected, a gap can also form on the front side. Now about such an important point, approaching the opposite wall, the missing narrow strip often remains. How to be in a situation if there is not enough, just a little bit, literally a few centimeters. Here you can go in several ways. The first is to buy an additional required number of chipboard boards and cut off the missing piece from them, connecting it in the same way with a thorn groove with glue. Of course, this option is more justified in a situation where there is a long distance to the wall. The second option is on a strip of a plate of the required width, and using a milling cutter, cut a groove and connect the plates again in the traditional way. I went the other way. I absolutely didn't want to buy 2 additional slabs for building up 5 to 7 centimeters. I didn't want to do milling work either. There was no load on the floor in this place either. So I did it. Since I had a sufficient number of trimmings without grooves, having previously trimmed the edge of the last slab, I decided to build up the slab with segments of a suitable width and connect it to the main slab using glue of wooden dowels and self-tapping screws. Having thus increased the missing distance for the plates near the wall, I fixed this side of the floor in the same way, with the help of self-tapping screws, screwing them through the plate into the logs along the wall and selectively and without fanaticism in the middle. Next, with the help of mounting foam, I fill the gap between the wall and the slab. After the foam dries, the excess is cut off, the floor is ready for laying the finishing floor covering. That's all. Good luck to everyone and see you soon.